we did this. He was like, मुझे करना है तुम्हारा भी.
Good morning once again. So last few sessions we went ahead with Lambda actually. I just wanted to give once again a small brief on Lambda where it's a managed service coming from AWS where we can run some logical functions and you can write Lambda in multiple different languages, Go, Perl, Python, Java, Node.js, C Sharp, Ruby. So we also did a small demo on how to get S3 bucket names. We initially tried to get S3 bucket objects, their size, and the bucket size as well. But unfortunately, the account in which I was trying, it has lots of content. So we were not able to achieve that in that 15-minute time frame. So what we did is we converted that code into listing the number of S3 buckets, and we successfully did that. And we also briefly looked into uh, into the logs, CloudWatch logs. So in today's session, what we are going to do is we will deep dive on IAM policies, which is identity and access management, and also CloudWatch. So these are like core services where you would use in day out when you're using cloud computing. Okay, that's specifically for AWS. Whatever I'm speaking right now for today's session, it's specifically for AWS. But in Azure or Google or Oracle, it's the same thing. The concept is same. Like there is identity and access management even in Azure, even in Oracle. Okay. And logging also is there in both in all the service providers. So we will specifically talk about CloudWatch in this session. Okay, because we are working on AWS service provider. So last demo, we have seen like all the print statements and everything got logged into a particular log group. And I promise that we will go deep dive in today's session. So let's, yeah, these are some of the examples which we spoke earlier. And also we did speak on triggers last time. Yeah, like how Alexa can trigger a Lambda, how an S3 can trigger a Lambda. I think we did this one, like S3 triggering a Lambda. I just wanted to take a moment here and find out if anyone has completed the exercise which I mentioned, right? To try out S3 event and Lambda, or at least Lambda. Did anyone try? Can you put it in the chat, please? And did you face any issues while trying that? Okay, I'll take that as a no then. Okay, no worries, but I would recommend you all to try AWS Lambda. Uh, okay, got confused in the selection of subnet. Sure, I can help you in that subnet thing once again. So sweetie, you need not use the VPC section. Without VPC also, you can launch the Lambda. That would ensure that Lambda gets created in entire Amazon space rather than just confined to our VPC. You can, it as a starter, you can do without VPC for Lambda, and you can execute it. But in organizations, we would use the VPC selection. Yeah. Yeah, on the PPTs, definitely I'm working out with the teams. It's not just me because we need to understand. Uh, I think there is legal and all, right? So I have to get all the channels proper in sharing any of the PPTs. But I will try to see if I can share something which is already available on the internet where there is no restriction. But definitely, even on the PPT which I am showing, I'll try to uh, get some approvals. I'm already in talks. Yeah, but I didn't get the approval yet. Okay. So let's talk briefly about AMIs and images, hardened images. So um, basically, we have an application, let's say. Okay, I'll show how to create an AMI. Whatever we are speaking today, I'll show in demo on the AWS console as an experience. So I will definitely show you whatever we are speaking today is also viewed on the AWS console. So golden images, we call it golden images. Sometimes we call it hardened AMIs or just AMIs. Okay. So what is AMI? Okay, it's an Amazon machine image. What does that mean? So let's say I have an EC2 instance, which is basically a server, and I created a what do we call an application? Let's say a Python application has been created. In order to create a Python application, what basic things I need to do? I need to install Python. Okay. Well, first thing is like Python whatsoever version. So I can install Python from pypy.org. It's a URL where Python packages and everything is stored. So it's simply I can install a Python package. You can download that package and put it onto your Linux machine. And then let's say based on our requirement, based on my coding standards, let's say I need to make a request to a particular API. Let's say some information which is already available on the internet, probably population data. Okay, that APIs are already available. So if I have to hit that API within Python, I need to use some module called as requests. So request is the module which I need to use. This is all, uh, the actual developers would be able to understand that, okay, if there is any Python developer, they would be understanding that they need to use the request module. But I'm just giving you an overview. So it's like, if at all, if your code says I need to reach out to an API and it requires a module called as request, then I have to download that request module package because you cannot keep all of the content in one single code. So basically, what teams or communities do is they create some packages, pre-built packages, and they put it on the internet so that we can download them. Okay. And similarly, in organizations as well, application packages are also made as jar files, class files, DLLs, and they put them in a particular repository. And if you want to use those functions, you just need to import that statements. I think till here, many of them are already experienced, right? So you just need to import them. So in my case, I'm trying to import requests module because I need to go to that populations API. And after that, let's say I need to connect to a PySQL, Postgres database or a Redis database. So if I need to connect to a database, then again, if it is Redis, then I need to import the Redis package. It's all packages. Okay. So what I'm saying is you install all of the packages, you install Python, you write down the code, and after that, you execute the code, which is all successful. Now, I want this to be promoted to higher environments. Okay, there are multiple ways of doing it. Okay, if I need to promote it to higher environments, or if I need to give it to someone who's my team member, and there are multiple ways why we want to do it. Uh, but let's say if I want to give it, I can provide the list of steps which I followed. That's the first way of doing things, right? Where we get a prerequisite document and that prerequisite document is shared. But that's old. What if the other person is not able to understand your document? What if they are not able to find the right package? So it's not always successful. So that is where this comes into picture. It's kind of a Docker. I'm not going to mix things, but it's like there, whatever we installed, it is creating a package entirely. So whenever I'm launching a new instance, if I select this AMI, which I created from my previous EC2 instance where I installed Python, where I installed those packages, where my application is working. Once I am satisfied with that, I just create right click. There is a creation of AMI, right click, create AMI. I just need to give the name, date, so and so, and AMI gets created. And what happens is next time when I'm launching a new EC2 instance, I can select that AMI. So when it gets launched, the actual Python application comes back again. I need not do all of the prerequisite tests or steps, and I need not do any installations. It works as it is. So another classic example is, let's say you need to stop your EC2 instance or terminate your EC2 instance. Stopping is fine, but let's talk about terminating the EC2 instance to save the cost. Let's say I'm not using my application for a month. Okay, I wanted to terminate the instance, but I want to save all of whatever I have done because I wanted to resume it later. So let's talk about December end. It's a year-end break. So when I come next year, I just need to copy that AMI and relaunch it so that all of my work, wherever I've left over, or my application would come back. So that's AMIs. So this is a classic basic example. We start every Amazon started AMI with this particular thing, and then they expanded this to something called as marketplace, where we are talking about third party vendors or applications or organizations. Let's talk about Salesforce, multiple or Nginx, or you name it, any other company. Okay, if they have their product, previously we used to install the package right by ourselves. We install Salesforce by ourselves, we install Nginx by ourselves. They would give you a prerequisite document. We need to ensure that, okay, this is a EC2 or server configuration. I need to create this folder structures. I need to install this package. I'm sure everyone have tried installing a software, right? So they all moved away from that legacy thing and they created, let's say, Salesforce AMI for Amazon specifically, and they published it in the marketplace. Marketplace, you think that it's a platform where I can subscribe or rent to that particular software. Okay, so I'm renting or subscribing to that particular Salesforce AMI, and I'm launching it on my EC2 instance. So what happens here is, when once launched, Salesforce application gets installed, and here you need to understand that you are paying for the underlying EC2 instance because it's in my account. I need to pay for the EC2 instance, and also I need to pay for the subscription charges of the Salesforce. And not everything is paid. You might also get some free subscriptions, but free always comes with some limitations or probably some restrictions. So mostly everyone who goes into marketplace and publish their AMIs with their softwares, definitely they would charge some amount. Even if, let's say, if I have created an application which is very much useful, it's not already available. Let's talk about something like a cost optimization application, whatever I've created. What it does is it ensures that it stops the servers during the weekends. I just need to provide tags to my resources. So tags is nothing but for identification. I think I've shown, let's say owner is Sampath, organization X. So those tags I'm saying, I'll say like weekend shutdown. Yes. If it is yes, then the application, whatever I said, would pick that and ensure that it shuts down during the weekends. So if I build a software like that, I can launch it on the marketplace as an AMI, and they can people can subscribe and use it. So that's AMIs. Hardened images or AMIs are again an extra version what security teams follow. So basically, when I launch any application or on any EC2 instance, I need to select a base AMI. So base AMI is for sure required. Base. So when you're creating an EC2 instance, you would see like base AMI, like Linux, Windows, Django, or whatnot. Multiple AMIs are there. Okay. So I just can't, in my organization, I just can't launch anything with, I mean, straight ahead, what is provided by Amazon. Straight ahead, I cannot launch something from the marketplace. I need to use my organization specific AMIs because our security team has some security features installed and on that AMIs, like on that core AMI, they install some security tools called as Train Micro, Sentinel. These are again a third-party softwares. Basically, what they are trying to do is it is going to observe the network in running in network requests coming into my EC2 instance or my server, and it's look for anomalies. They also scan if there are any vulnerabilities packages which I'm installing. So it would report back to the security team. So those are kind of security features they're pre-installing on that image. And I am obliged to use those images only. Okay. So that's hardened images. And it's for a specific reason. It's for having a proper security and all. So now I think you understood what is AMI because that's very much required. And we also spoke about auto scaling earlier, horizontal auto scaling. And AMI is the key here. So I want my application to scale. Let's say I have an e-commerce application, and during the month of December, I see that there's a lot of shopping going on, a lot of requests coming in. So I need to scale my application, not vertically, but horizontally. Horizontal means vertically, I told you, you need to get hold of this vertical versus horizontal scaling. Vertical means adding extra memory on top of it, extra space on top of the existing server. That's old. New ways of doing it is creating one more replica of the existing server, creating one more replica of the existing server, and then all the requests gets diverted to all of them. But this replicas would be spun up like this because we are using the AMI concept here, where I'm saying like the primary, I won't call it primary, but let's say the first server has an AMI with the pre-built software of my e-commerce application. And now when it scales within just minutes, and it also comes with the pre-built software e-commerce application automatically because my AMI, core AMI already has that baked into it. So that's how important an AMI is with respect to auto scaling as well. And now you can see snapshots, right, on the screen. Snapshot is nothing but, again, a backup. Consider that as a backup. So basically, snapshot of a server, we call it as AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Snapshot of RDS, we call it as snapshot for RDS. RDS is Relational Database Service, which is nothing but databases. Okay. EBS is Elastic Block Storage, which is nothing but our storage or drives. Let's call it as drives. So you have C drive, D drive for a laptop, right? Or a computer. So similarly, for an instance, for a server, we can attach drives like there are different notations, XVDH, and I mean, it's all Linux terms. So you can attach different drives like 10 MB drive, sorry, 10 GB drive or 100 GB drive. And even in the drives also, you can choose different versions like magnetic, which is older version of drive, okay, which is cheaper. There is general purpose, which is for all the regular purpose. And there is one more called as provisioned IOPS. Provisioned IOPS is the fastest because it has latest technology included into it. So it depends, right? Whenever you're configuring a laptop, when we assemble this laptop, people provide multiple types of hard disks, right? They will say like this hard disk is faster, this hard disk is slower. It all depends on how fast they quickly run and all, right? So it's the same concept here. Magnetic is old technology, general purpose for regular applications, provisioned IOPS for faster lightning up speed applications. So I attached a volume to it. So drive and volume, we call volumes in Amazon, but you consider that volume is nothing but a drive. Okay. So this volume, EBS volume, when you want to take a backup, it's called a snapshot. So what happens if I want to launch a new instance and I want to attach this previous old snapshot, I'll get back all my files. That's so simple. Okay. That's about golden images and hardened images. I will show it to you on the console as well. And bootstrapping, I think this is again a very big topic. Uh, uh, so this one, I think we will see how we can integrate this into our course. It's basically like I previously told you, right? In AMI is one way of doing things. Okay, we create an AMI and we use that AMI to launch or to auto scale our existing application. That is one way of doing things. And the second one is using this, uh, we call it as chef cookbooks and Ansible playbooks. These two are two different frameworks, but trying to accomplish the same goal, which is like installing softwares on my EC2 instance. So again, concept where we previously did install the packages one by one using a prerequisite document, right? So that prerequisite document, consider that I am writing it in another language. Okay, it's a Ruby, and we, I mean, it's cookbooks. We call it as cookbooks, and we call it as recipes. Don't get into details about it, but basically whatever installation steps are there, let's say I need to create a folder, then we have a command for creating a folder. And again, if I need to download a package from a particular location, we have a resource for that. So it's like an instruction document written in a certain language. Okay, if it is chef, we call it as recipes. If it is Ansible, we call it as playbooks. And what we do is, when an EC2 instance is launched, we are saying like, hey, perform these steps present in this thing. So this is nothing but during the bootstrap, I mean, during the initialization of the EC2, all these steps would be, executed and my application would come. Okay. So now you need to understand here, like how many ways you can launch your application. First, you have an EC2 instance, you log in, you install the steps one by one, okay, which is our old way. You have an AMI approach where you do it for the first time, create an AMI, and next time when you launch it, all the application is coming as it is. This is second way. Third way is you have the scripts where all the prerequisite scripts are mentioned in this Ansible or Chef cookbooks, and it gets attached to this EC2 initialization during the bootstrap. It execute all of that, and my application comes. This is the third approach. Fourth approach is Docker containers. So Docker is again same thing. Okay, it's packaging all of that all of the software, and when we launch a Docker container, again the same application comes. So there are multiple ways of launching an application. Okay, and infra is same, but the way how we do it is different. Okay, so an organization follows Dockers as a primary, let's say, then they would use this Docker files to install the steps. Some other organization comes saying like, I need chef cookbooks, then they follow these, okay? And some other organization follows AMI approach. So it depends on organization to organization, project to project. You need to understand that. I hope I am clear on this. But all you need to understand is launching application in multiple ways. Logging and monitoring. So last session, we did this S3 thing, right? Where S3 event got triggered, and after that, my application, which is written in Python, which is actually hosted on Lambda, got triggered, and my Lambda was supposed to um, iterate all over the S3 buckets and write down the names of it, which it does. And generally, in your coding, be it Java or .NET, you have that log back XMLs where you specify like this is logger.info or logger.debug or logger.error, saying like you have different types of logging mechanisms and you want to log something so that it's easy for you to debug. So similarly, all the logs in cloud, they initially would go to CloudWatch. Okay, that's the standard way practice. And even if you do not want to do that, that's also present. But the standard approach is, firstly, if my application runs on an EC2, the application logs goes to the CloudWatch. If my application runs on a container, my logs go to CloudWatch. Same with Lambdas, logs go to CloudWatch. Every resource, almost every resource in Amazon is integrated with CloudWatch. So all the logs goes to CloudWatch. And if something is not working, the first place to look at is the CloudWatch. You understand that? Something is not right, you go to CloudWatch and see. Something is right, even then you want to go to CloudWatch and see how's the performance and all. So CloudWatch is a very integral core component of Amazon, and for developers, for operations, for site reliability engineers, everyone should be familiar with CloudWatch. I'll show you. It looks simple, but around CloudWatch, there is a lot of other services also which are created, like metrics, uh, my CPU metrics, memory metrics, and whatnot. We can even schedule few things. So I'll speak about CloudWatch. I'll show you where we can see. So last yesterday night, I wanted to give you an example where one of the connectivity was missing. I have different regions. So we have Amazon, right? We have Amazon and I think 30 plus regions, US East 1, North Virginia, Hyderabad, AP South East 2, I guess. So Oregon region, which is another west part of America. So I have a service which is Lambda, sitting in West region, and I have a service which is a database sitting in East region. I wanted to communicate this Lambda with this East region database. Somehow the connectivity is not getting established, even though after we had opened the ports and all, we were not able to establish the connectivity. It says connection timeout. Everyone says like, okay, it's not an this is where we get on a call and we try to resolve things, right? So it's an highly high critical issue, and everyone is on the call. Everyone is blaming each other. I'm just giving an example. So uh, it's someone says like it's an application. Someone says like the network is not happening. That is the reason it says connectivity issue. So we need to prove, being an infra guy, being a cloud computing resource, you need to use all your tactics to prove where exactly the issue is going on. It's because you are the core person to debug and find out the actual root cause. So you have powers, right? CloudWatch is one of your power. CloudTrail, I'll come to that as well. So these are some of the important tools which we can use. So yesterday, what we did is there is logs. Again, I said all the logs are present in CloudWatch. So there is a CloudWatch log group which gave me all the details like, okay, my network packet from this Lambda, the Lambda is having an IP. And from here, it went successfully to a database, which is in the East region. It also has an IP. And again, I got a response back from this database, which has an IP, to my Lambda, again in the West region. So I was able to clearly see that the communication went on this particular port, from this source IP to this destination IP, and the destination responded back successfully to the source. So clearly, now the application team members or developers cannot deny that, okay, it's not our issue. So we told them clearly that networking is there, but they didn't agree to it. But fortunately, we were able to prove because of this CloudWatch log groups. Okay. And now we are investigating that, okay, something is wrong with the internal package. I told you, right? We can install, in order to connect to a database, we install database packages, right? Import statements. So that is where the package was old. So they had to reinstall the package and it started working. So you understand, right? So how important CloudWatch is. So that's CloudWatch, and we will go through it once again on the console. And CloudTrail, CloudTrail is like any action, any action. If I click on this, if I click on this, if I launch an EC2 instance, if someone does anything, every action on AWS is logged in CloudTrail. Only advantage we have is for auditing purpose. So let's say if someone deletes an important S3 bucket, if someone stops an important RDS server, and this is going to impact clients, right? So if we do not have a logging mechanism for these actions, then we cannot answer, we will not be able to be answerable to our clients. So for the root cause analysis, I would say this service is key, and it helps in identifying the key actions made by any user, who stopped what, who started what, all of that is logged here. And I'll show you in the console. Yeah, so CloudTrail, what actions did a user give and for a particular time period? What is the IP, from where it is coming? Is it coming from an organization space, or is it coming outside of it? Okay, all of that is logged here. So CloudTrail and IAM combination, we haven't started the IAM yet. I think it's the next thing which we do. So CloudTrail and IAM go hand in hand. I'll come back to this slide once I teach you IAM. I'm just going to do a quick time check. Okay. So yeah. So IAM, identity and access management. This is key for each and every it's organization. IAM is identity management and access management. So basically, I am a resource of Broadridge, and I get an iCard, right? And they have all of my information in their identity portal. Different softwares are used by different companies. Okay, and access management. Do I do I have permissions to go to this particular server room? No. Yes. Do I have access to go to this particular floor? Yes, no. So I'm privileged to go to this. So it's all access, what level of permissions I have, right? So identity and access management is a keyword which is used across industries. It's not just for AWS, it's across industries. You need to understand that. So it can be applicable for anywhere. Logging into your bank account, logging into your bank portal as an admin, as a consumer, or as an auditing person. So different purpose, different roles would come in, right? So identity and access management speaks about it, and it's common across industries. So this is what, and this service coming from Amazon is PCI compliance. So whenever any service gets released by any service provider, okay, they need to go this compliance checklist. I mean, basically, third parties do some compliance tests where they do some tests and they certify them that, okay, your service is secure. So people can trust you. Okay. And with this payment card industry, means it's like we can launch any, I mean, if you look at any applications, in the end, when you make a payment, okay, it gives you multiple options, right? Phone Pay, Google, credit card, debit card. So what if something is not compromised? Your money would not go to the end user, I mean, to the product, uh, rather it goes to some other's pocket, right? So you need to ensure like it's not vulnerable. So this service got a compliance certificate from the payment card industry. I mean, from the vendor. There are multiple auditing companies. They say like they try all of this and they say like, okay, this service coming from Amazon is PCI compliance, so that you can launch any any of this payment gateways in my in Amazon space. Okay, so that is how it is saying. Data security as well. So they look at the security of the firewalls, they look at the security of the physical premise, and they say like, okay, these Amazon guys passed all the securities. Okay, so that is the compliance thing which they say. Because if you look at on-prem, you know that on-prem has security guards. Like every organization has their security guards. One other person starting at the server room, there's a security guard, and it's not accessible. You have access policy. So you trust your on-prem server because you know you on-premise data center that it is secure. But how do you trust a cloud data center? You cannot literally go for every client or an individual. They cannot pay for their flight charges and go and validate it, right? And we all don't know what to validate. So that is where this industries, auditing industries comes into picture, and they certify and we trust them. Okay. So IAM helps with working with multiple teams. Let's say you are a development team, you are part of development team, and you would be provided access to particular services and with particular level of access. And let's say I'm coming from an admin background because I am responsible for launching the services for the developers. So I would have different set of permissions. And someone from the governance team, they are responsible for auditing. So they would have a read only permissions. Okay. So you need to understand that there is a group here, like development team, it's a group. Admin team, it's a group. Governance, it's a group. Our quality engineers, it's a group. So everyone will not be using the same set of permissions. Rather, we can differentiate the permissions, okay, per group. Okay. So this is how we will group them and attach one specific policy, IAM policy. I'm going to show that IAM policy, which will have like development policy will have so and so permissions. And it is attached to an IAM group. IAM group is nothing but a different set of users who are part of that development group, let's say. And another group, IAM group, we call it as admin. Admin has a different IAM policy. So anyone who is getting into this particular group will have by default all those policies. Federation of users is nothing but, see, in Amazon, when I started probably in 2010, it was all about users, adding individual users. If I need to get access to that account, I need to someone like an admin needs to add an IAM user for Sampath. Similarly for 100 users. Okay, that was the first way. Second way is to, okay, I've created users and it's becoming very hard for me to create permissions for every user. So let's say Sampath is admin. I've provided some permissions and there is one more admin guy. Again, I have to repeat that permissions again. So it's become cumbersome. So what they did was they created IAM groups, which we spoke earlier. So they create users and they attach to that group. And that group is already attached with an IAM policy, be it admin or QA or whatever it is, with the limited set of permissions. And the group gets it. This is all good when your organization is very small. Okay. If it is 100 people or 200 people, Amazon has hard limits as well. Like you cannot create beyond some X amount of users. Okay. So, so it becomes hard to manage, right? So that is where federation comes into picture. Even I think federation, you have experienced it day in, day out. When you are trying to launch any app, okay. Initially, when you subscribe to Instagram, it says like you need not create an account. You can either federate with Google, your Gmail username, password, or if you have a Facebook earlier, if you have used Facebook earlier, you can tie it to it. So basically, you are getting temporary permissions from already existing providers like Facebook and Google because they are trusted providers. Okay. So we are saying instead of I'm maintaining my again a user database, which is tough, I'm lending that information directly from Facebook or Google. I need not have the user base at me. It would be where within the providers, identity providers, which is Facebook, Google, Active Directory, whatnot. So users are stored there only, but they're integrated with my IAM. So I can onboard them. That is what I'm saying. So instead of creating literally users in my account, I can simply onboard them to a particular category and they would have access to use our Amazon Web Services. Attaching IAM to AWS services. I think this is something which we recently experienced. Probably not on EC2, but Lambda. Let's consider Lambda. Last time, this is Lambda. Okay. We attached an IAM role without IAM, and our intention is to get some information from S3 buckets, right? Like how many buckets are there. So when we did initially try to execute the code, if you remember the last session, okay, it was unable to fetch the content. It mentioned access denied, calling the S3 get object or calling the S3 list objects permission. So what we immediately did was we went ahead and opened this Lambda, and every resource in AWS would be associated with an IAM, identity and access management, which literally says like what permissions your resource is having. So IAM can be attached to any AWS resources, okay, or like users and roles, which are us, okay. So in our previous scenario, the Lambda was attached to an IAM role, and that IAM role was earlier not having permissions to S3. So we added those permissions of S3. So after starting to add that S3, it gave a successful response where it connected to S3 and listed all of the buckets. So if in summary, what we are trying to say, if an IAM role is attached to EC2 instance or a Lambda or something else, this IAM role, whatever is attached to it, decides whether you have permissions to the connecting services or not. If that if that permissions are not there, then you need to update these IAM policies, attach it to this EC2 instance. Again, by the way, there are multiple ways of restricting that. Okay. There is an IAM policy. This can be attached to only EC2 instances and not to Lambda. Okay. That that level. Okay. Previously, in the previous old generation, I would say, I just wanted to check if you can hear me. Can one of you put in the chat? I just saw something like network unstable. Can one of you put it in the chat whether? Okay, thank you. Okay. So previously, the old generation was an IAM role can be created and it can be attached to anything. That was old days. And recent editions, what they said, like you can create an IAM role and you can specify who this IAM role can be attached to. Is it to an EC2 instance? Is it to a database? Is it to a Lambda? So you can have granular conditional statements on who can use it. Okay. So that's again, when you start working on IAM, how to create an IAM policy, then you would understand how many conditional statements you can keep, what all, what all can be accessed. Again, I'll show you shortly. We have time for that. So we just spoke about IAM and IAM policy, but IAM policy is nothing but it's a JSON. It's a document that defines permissions. Okay. JSON JavaScript object notation. Okay. It's written in JSON, and it can be attached to users. I told you IAM users, which was legacy. And after that, groups, which is also kind of legacy. Or I wouldn't consider, sorry to use legacy, but I wouldn't consider legacy. Rather, it depends on the use case. If I'm the only individual, then I'll stick to user. Okay. If I'm a startup, if I have less than 50 users, then I'll stick to still users and groups. Okay. But if I'm an organization which is greater than 1,000 or even 500, then I would stick to roles with federation, which we spoke. Okay. So sorry for using the word legacy. Rather, I would say based on use case, based on the limit, size of it, we are going to decide whether my account, AWS account, should have a user or a group or a role. Okay, this is an example of an IAM policy. So you are saying version. Version is nothing but when this policy is getting created, and the statement, it starts with a statement affect whether this particular resource has allow permissions or deny permissions. So we are saying in this case allow. What action I'm saying? S3 list bucket, not anything else, just to list bucket. Okay. And what resource I'm saying? Okay, this person, let's say it's Sampath. Sampath has allow permissions on S3, listing the bucket. Okay. And resource, I'm saying only to this particular example bucket, not to all the buckets, but only to this particular bucket. So you need to understand that here I can put S3 colon star. Here I can put resource is star. Star is nothing but a wildcard. Okay. When I say star, it's everything. Okay. So we don't want to do that. If we do that, that is like abusing our power. So anytime when we are creating an IAM policy for demo purpose, that's fine. But when we are working in an organization for any application, I would say we should confine it to a least privilege policy, least privilege permission, so that it's not abused. I think we spoke about this IAM roles already. Yeah, this is what I was talking, right? Least privileges. You only grant required permissions. Minimum permissions is good. Okay. So that you protect your access. I also told you about Amazon working with any cloud service provider. It's a shared responsibility model, which means like Amazon has its own, or Amazon, be it Amazon or any cloud service provider, it has its own permissions and responsibilities, and we also have equal share of responsibilities. So Amazon has its own encryption, physical layer of security, network layer of security. But at the same time, we should also ensure that IAM, which is identity and access management, is secure. Like whenever we are creating these roles and policies, we ensure that it's limited permissions, not vast. We don't give vast permissions. Key takeaways. So for today's session, we are we spoke about CloudWatch and we spoke about IAMs. Okay. So IAM, it allows you to securely control access to AWS services. Policies are written in JSON and allows you to define granular access to AWS resources. and this is something which we have spoken. The IAM policies can be attached to users or IAM roles and EC2 instances or lambdas. Okay. So groups are collection of users that inherit the same set of permissions. Okay, and can be used to reduce your user management overhead. I think we discussed it. Which is like development team will have same set of permissions, QA team will have same set of permissions, like something like that. Okay. Yep. So now let's go and look at the console. I'm just going to do a time check as well. Okay. We have 30 minutes. Good. I'll share a different. By the way, this IAM and CloudWatch is key. So please ensure you look into that. IAM and CloudWatch are one of the uh, items which are integrated to every service. So you need to understand how critical it is. It's not like Lambda or EC2. It's integrated with everything. Okay. Just a second. I'm trying to log in. I'll share the screen ASAP. I see Amazon is a bit slow today. Yeah. I hope you can see my browser, which has Amazon portal. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. I don't know what's happening. It's too slow. Yeah. So this was one of the Lambda which we created, sorry, which we created last week. And it's still loading. Right. Something is wrong. I see AWS is too slow. It's not usually like this. Yeah, it's loading the function. Okay. So this is the uh, Python function which we had written, where again I told you there are different ways of connecting to Amazon within Python. If we need to connect to AWS, we need something called as package import Boto3. Okay. And we are uploading something to S3. So, and it's a CSV file. So we are using the CSV. So this one, last time we tried to get all the list buckets, get all of the list buckets, and we did this processing bucket, printing the buckets and all. Okay. So if you go to the monitoring section, this is where the CloudWatch is integrated. So this is for Lambda. For EC2 again, for DynamoDB, for RDS, again, everything gets integrated with CloudWatch. So you just need to, you can directly go to CloudWatch service as well, like this, CloudWatch. I'll show you actually a live project bucket, sorry, project Lambda, which we are working on. And so that you will understand how critical it is. So this is one of our Lambda, which basically tries to uh, take a PDF file and make some chunks. So our application is like, there's a lot of content. I need to create read that PDF file and create some chunks of it and store it into a database. It's our internal for our internal purpose. So, oh my God, it's damn slow. In the meantime, let's see CloudTrail. If we have luck, let's see CloudTrail. So CloudTrail is is a place where you will see all the events, right? I told you all the events are recorded here. This is very much important to find out who is doing what went wrong. Uh, so it's for mainly for auditing purpose. So username, let's say username and Sampath dot Nuri. Oops. Why am I? So I'm saying username, last 30 minutes. Okay, whoever has used it, let me see how my name is coming. So let's see, this is my team member. So I can select here and it gives me what all he has access today. So these are the actions. It says like list event sources, some sort of events he has performed, and all of that. These are nothing but IAM actions. Okay, so every service has its own IAM action. So all of that we are kind of seeing here, and you can see event source. If it is Lambda, it says Lambda. If it is IAM, let me show IAM. If it is IAM, then it says like he went into IAM and he was trying to do some get policy. So all of that. Similarly, I'll try. Yeah. So I was working on CloudTrail. So I opened CloudTrail, right? I did look up events. I did this one. So that also came here. Okay. And let's see what else I did. But the problem is there's a lot of data logged here. So you need to ensure you use the right filters to find out what we need. Yeah. I've opened Lambda function, so it says like get function, this one. So basically you're seeing what all actions I've done. Okay. So resource name, I can do a resource name and I can say this one, let's say this is the Lambda. I want to see if any actions were done on this one. Resource type is Lambda last 30 minutes. You can see my friend Bala is actually working on doing some configuration changes in the last 30 minutes. And let's say 1 hour or last 12 hours. Yeah. So last 12 hours, there are multiple people who are working on it. Okay. So we can basically see what all things people are working. So it basically helps us in identifying if someone has deleted anything, all of that information we can see. And you can see here, I've selected this function and I'm trying to see if what happened. And I can even go internally to see that, okay, this is the service Lambda and uh, it used this execution role. So Lambda gets attached with an IAM role, right? So I told you everything is attached to an IAM role permissions. You can see it is QCDEP Lambda execution role, and you can see it's QCDEP Lambda execution role, and this is the function name. Okay. And it is saying it's doing some AWS API call, all of this, again, categories, if it is management category and what is the account ID. So all of this information is logged for us. So it's event name is assume role. Sometimes it would be something else. So all of this, you can find it in the CloudTrail. CloudTrail, as I said, it's used for auditing purposes, not just auditing. If you want to do some root cause analysis and all, CloudTrail is the way you can use. I hope uh, I'll even show you any other resource as well. Let me. So you can search with the resource name. You can search with different event sources. Event source can be here in the say Lambda, let's say within the past 1 day. You can see there is a lot of events coming from Lambda and event name. Let's see, delete function. Yeah, last 1 day, no one has done it. Well, Okay, so there's no delete function within last five weeks. Okay, so yeah, basically you have the lookup attributes to find out what all things have been done. So that's the intent of it. You can see there's a lot of events here, and we can create IAM, so create user pool. Okay, create user pool. Yeah. So I created a user pool on December 3rd, okay, which is related to a different service called as Cognito. I use Cognito, and you can clearly see that my name got logged and on 3rd December. And if I click this, you can see this is my source IP address from where is it from my laptop or from somewhere else. All of that I can see, and what I am role I am attached to. This is the I am role I am attached to. If you can see here, you can find the same thing, envgi dev developer power user role. So I am attached with this I am role. Account ID is this one. You can see both of them. And this is the service which I was accessing. And this is the action which I'm doing. I'm doing something on the console itself directly. And this is the region. Region is nothing but US East 1. So source IP address, my laptop IP address. Okay. So you can see all of this, right? So, and it's giving a lot of content to me. So even if I delete something, I'll get to know, and my name is logged. So that's how CloudTrail is working, and it's super effective, and it's very helpful for us. Okay. Now this CloudWatch Logs has opened for my existing Lambda, which I'm using for my use case. You can see this is yesterday. For every invocation, I'm getting a log generated. This is day before, I guess. So even before. So I can purge them. I can send these logs to a different uh, log aggregation tools like Splunk or Datadog. So I can keep them here or send it to Datadog or Splunk. But in this case, it's we are looking at the CloudWatch, and you can see whenever this Lambda is triggered, a log gets created here, and this log gives me a lot of content. Like it says, like, yeah, you can see here, this is all something which we have written in our code. Okay, we have written this is our function. It's a server lib, Kafka lib. It's nothing but in our function. We just give me a minute. I'll try to open that function as well to show you how effective it is. This is our Git. So in the CloudWatch log, it says like server lib Kafka underscore lib. So which means like I need to go into this folder, lib and Kafka lib. And what does it say? Publish event. Yeah, this is the function. Okay. So these are the logs. It says like published into the topic. Okay. Published into the topic somewhere. So you need to look here. Yeah. So this is the one into the topic. Topic is embed ingest. If you can see my code, published percentage S is nothing but event data. Event data is entire thing. So entire JSON is that thing. So you can see here published. Published event data is nothing but entire JSON. And after that, into the topic, but before that you can see into the topic, but before that you are seeing percentages, which is nothing but the topic name, which is in that case embed in just something. So basically this is how whatever I write on my code is coming and storing in the CloudWatch. Okay, this gives me an opportunity to validate what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, you can see this is of type info. I'm saying like I'm connecting to some memory DB and it got connected, closing the connection, Kafka producer, initialize success. All of these are nothing but my logs, basically, which will help in identifying any root cause. So sometimes it fails. This is a successful log, but sometimes it failed connecting to the connecting to my database. So I need to investigate what happened with my log. So that is how CloudWatch would help us. Okay. So and I also mentioned we will speak about IAM roles. So in this case, IAM role is I mentioned it can be attached to EC2 instance, it can be attached to a database, it can be attached to a Lambda. In this case, it's a Lambda. I'm going to show what is attached to this Lambda. Okay, this is quite a complicated one, but let's go. Uh, yeah. So if you look at this uh, bucket info, which we used for our demo, I've attached to an IAM role, and that IAM role has few permissions, which is like basic execution role, which says like create a log group, okay, and put log events. It is nothing but uh, we said right, all of the logs should go into my CloudWatch log group. So this is nothing but logs. I'm saying allow. I'm saying logs colon create log group. This Lambda can create a log group in this particular account and in this particular region. Next, after creating the log group, another permission, what I'm saying is put log events. Okay. All of that, what is generated in my Lambda, I'm saying it has to be put into the log events. And I'm saying this is the resource log group where I can check. Okay. So same thing, let's look at other one. Okay, in this case, this is a bad way of representing things. Here it says like star means everything. Okay, it's a demo one. So again, so they're saying like create log groups with any different name. But in this one, it says like it's accessible only for this particular AWS Lambda, only this SAM bucket info check. Okay. So this is a better one. Okay. And next, Sam Herky S3. What did we say? S3 star. I think we did it in the last 5 minutes. So we gave full permissions. So I'm saying like star and on resource all buckets because star. So generally star should not be there, but it was done because we were ending the nearing to the session. So we created a policy within a very limited time. So we have provided star, but ideally it should be like S3 get object, which is like download the object, and for a resource, which is like only that particular S3 bucket, not for all. Okay, so that is how you can restrict it. This is IAM, and let me show you how to. So here you can create a role. Okay, these are the roles. You can create a role. Previously, all of this was not there. Okay, it used to be just a AWS account. Here they've added AWS service, which means like if I'm creating this role, this can be attached to only that particular service. You can see here, I'm going to say EC2. Then this IAM role, which I'm going to create, is going to be attached only for EC2. Okay. And they have expanded their features. Previously, all of this was not there. So if I say role for a systems manager, it gives me more restrictive permissions specified to those. If I select Lambda, so Lambda next, and I can select what policies. If I select this administrator access, everything that particular Lambda role will have. S3, let's say S3, search for S3, and you can see if I select this one, that IAM role will have full permissions to S3. Okay, so you are seeing here type AWS managed, right? AWS managed means nothing but some pre-built IAM policies are already present in your account. You can make use of them. Okay. So here full access is there. S3 read-only access is there. Let's see read-only. Okay. For this use case. And you can see apart from Amazon managed, there is something like customer managed as well. Customer managed is what we created. We created it for our purpose. I can just give a name. Sam Herky S3 read, and it says like allow lambda functions to call, because we've selected lambda. If we don't select lambda, then it is going to be attached to anything else, and says like this is because we said it's a service linked role where a lambda needs to have permission. So and we added this read only permission and create role. It would create, and let me create this role, view role. And I can attach this to our Lambda, whatever we have done in the previous demo. So this has read-only permissions, and let's see what it says. It says get, list, describe, object, but there is nothing like S3. Put, put is like to put some objects into the S3 bucket. S3 delete is not there because we said only read only. So read only will not have all of that. Okay, so you can also instead of using the Amazon ones, you can actually create an inline policy as well. Okay, inline policy is like I can write my own policy. Let's say I want to connect to a RDS database, or let's see, yeah. So you can see I'm saying I need to connect to RDS. And what actions do I want? Is it list, read, write, or star? Star means everything. I'm saying I need to write. Okay. I don't want to read, but only this lambda is only for writing. Okay. In writing as well, you have to see like what actions you need. You need not select all of these. So it depends. Once you get some experience, you will select only the actions which you need. Okay. For now, for the sake of it, I'm just giving next. No resources specified. So I'm saying which, it says like which resource, which means like only one particular RDS or all. I'm giving all, and RDS hierarchy, create policy. And you can see this is an inline policy which we have created, and it says all of these actions, okay, and to all resources. So that's how you can do. And there is one more thing. Let's say I was working on some use case and this Lambda was not able to connect to some other service. Okay, let me remove this one. Let me remove this. And there's an option called as simulate. And all these are recent things only. Previously, these were not there. This is Sam Hockey S3 read. Okay. So this simulator will tell you whether I have permissions or not. Okay. It's a simple way to debug. Yeah. Sam Hockey S3 read. And I'm saying what I'm trying to check if I have permissions to S3. I'm saying all run simulation. You can clearly see that in our SAM hierarchy, I've attached read-only permission, right? Not get, not put, not delete. So with this simulator, I can clearly say this abort multipart upload action, we haven't given it. So it says like denied. It's not there. You can see all the get objects, get GET, whatever is starting with get is allowed because in my what I'm saying, get star, get afterwards, immediately wildcard I've used. So anything which is starting with get is actually allowed. So this is one way of trying to see if it is, if my IAM role has permissions or not. So let's say if we have removed RDS, right? Okay. I'm selecting RDS and I'm selecting all permissions. Okay. And let me clear the results first. Select all and run simulation. You can see everything is denied because we haven't kept any RDS permissions, right? So everything is denied. So let's understand this way. My Lambda is trying to connect to RDS, but it's failing. Okay. And you can simply come to this simulator to find out, okay, this is my IAM role, which I've selected, Sam Herkes 3 read. And I can run the simulation and I can simply see, okay, this clearly says like, hey, you do not have permissions to RDS. Okay. So that's how you can validate if my IAM role has permission or not. This is one way of doing things. Okay. I hope, yeah, we are on time and I hope you got some info related to IAM, CloudWatch and CloudTrail this time, which are very key for cloud computing. I hope you like this session as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Great. So we have two more sessions planned up, right? So we will come up with something exciting for the next session. I'm telling you, whatever we had gone through, if you just recap, go through the recordings, just do a recap. I'm saying you're ready for uh, cracking any interview. This information is very much sufficient. Okay. Avneet, you there?
Yes, Sampath. Thank you very much.
Great.
And as Sampath mentioned, ladies, there are two more sessions, SME sessions, which are there. It's not that we cannot, recordings, we can't give it on the similar day, Pratibha. There is a process to convert the recording. Yeah, so you have to wait for at least those many days. So yes, the session which is there, one more session is going to happen in December, which is on 19th of December. And your last SME session is going to happen in January, which is 9th of January. So in the meantime, you will get enough time to revise, recap everything. And 9th January is going to be the last session with Sampath. So, keep your questions ready, and you can prep up in the meantime for as Sampath has guided you ahead. So thank
Yep.
you so much, Sampath. That was again a wonderful one.
Thank you so much. I would recommend you guys to try it out. If you try, you would definitely like it. And there is a lot of scope. I'm telling you, there's a lot of cloud computing roles, job opportunities. So please go through these sessions and try to have practical sessions as well. And definitely, I'm sure you would do wonders. Thank you so much. All the very best. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Sampath. Have a lovely day ahead. To you too, everyone. Have a great day ahead, and we'll meet you again on 19th of August. PPT's Khushbu, that it is not possible. It is, SME's IP. We cannot give you the PPTs. All just we can do is to provide the